All right. Good to go. Good call, Sherry. It looks like we got a few more coming on here. Did we lose you, Lori?
Connection. I have it now. It's never gone out before, but that's what happens.
There you go. You're good to go. Okay, so we're live. Go ahead.
Okay, so I hope it sticks with me. Hi, everyone. I'm Lori Richter, and I run the North Suburban Chicago group, and we have about 150 people, and we have 3 guest speakers today, which is great. I can't wait to hear what they're going to say because one of my issues is the leaky bucket. I'm always losing a couple people and trying to figure out how to get them back. And then also always concerned about what's the right size for the group. So anyway, let me introduce, I don't know who we have with us. I see we have about 19 people, so that's great. And you guys can pipe in whenever you want. But we're going to start with the 3 people that we've asked to come speak. They lead different groups in different locations, but all very successfully. And we're going to start with Joe Lehman because Joe has limited time today. So Joe runs 100+ Men Who Care in Dayton, Ohio. And Joe, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and I've given them all some questions, and I'm happy to lead you through those, but I would just love you to talk for a couple of minutes about your group and, the size of it and how you got there and any special issues you have, any brilliant suggestions you have for any of the rest of us who are trying to keep people in our group or getting new people. So I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
Okay, well, thank you. I made some notes on your questions that you provided earlier. So I'm going to just go through these briefly, and then I will stick around for questions if there are any. As you mentioned, I lead the 100+ Men Who Care of Dayton. We're currently at 112 members. I took over the group from the founder in 2008. At that time, he was around 60 members. We were around 60 members. And then I built it up to the current levels. And you asked what tactics did we use to grow? And there's one particular tactic which has accounted for, 30 or 40% of our growth since I took over. And that is to have 2, it turned out to be 2, but any number of the members to send emails to their work contemporaries or contacts and attach a simple 1-page description of who we are and what we do, and ask them to please get in touch with me if they were interested. And that netted us, by my estimate, about 30 new members. The second most successful technique was to get articles published in the Dayton Daily News and other area publications, and to my estimate is that netted us about 10 new members. Methods not successful for me. I developed a web page, and somebody else, I don't even know who, developed a Facebook page. I'm not aware of a single member who's come in via the web or Facebook. In fact, I have pretty compelling evidence that no one's looking at either one of those 2 things. But I do want to just mention that in my particular case, we're a group of men. Our rules are you have to be a man over 18 years of age. And my estimate is that the vast majority of our members were 18, a minimum of 30 years ago. So in other words, we're an older group. You also asked me what role have each of the following played in the growth of our group, and you listed social media. That's a very small percentage, 1 or 2 or 3%. TV, radio, and press, as I've mentioned, I would say between 18 and 20%. Word of mouth, and I'm including email in that, about 7%. And sponsorships, maybe around 10%. And if that doesn't add up, they're just estimates anyway. You also asked, why did we lose members? There's 3. We lose about 5 a year. And the reason I could think of 3 reasons. One is relocation, people moving. The second one is displeasure over the charity we selected. And the third one is the ultimate reason for leaving, and that is we have had a few members pass away. With regard to addressing the leaky bucket or how to replace members, at every meeting, one of the first things I say is that encourage members to recruit. And I also solicit press coverage. And we're managing an article about every quarter. You also asked a question about what's the right size. Well, when we were 60 members, naturally, because of our rules, the charity that won each quarter got about $6,000. And while that's a good number, that doesn't really move the needle for a lot of charities. Right around the first of, I think it was 2011, we had 100 members, and our donations rose, of course, to 10,000, and that really makes a difference. The ladies group of Dayton has 220 members, and while a gift of $22,000 is awesome in the case of most of our charities, I'm not sure I have the patience to manage 200. So I guess that's kind of a long answer too. I'm pretty happy where we are at 110. As probably anybody out there who's administering to a group like this knows, you spend 90% of your time with 10% of your people. And like I said, right now for me, that's like 10 or 12 members. Every quarter I have to track down and solicit their donations. And if that were 20 or 30 people, I think I would lose patience. I think that's pretty much all I'd like to say for the moment. I hope I gave you a good answer to your questions, and I'll stand by for questions when it's appropriate.
I have a question for you. Would you ask your new members to then reach out to people? Like, is that a continual way to fill the pipeline, or did you just do that at the beginning?
I guess my answer would be I take it easy on new members. I don't want to, when somebody seeks to join, really, what I encourage them to do most is nominate a charity. That's another small problem I have is only about 40 to 50% of our members choose to nominate a charity, and I think that's a shame. So that's the one little bit of pressure I put on the new members to nominate a charity. But no, I don't push them right away to nominate new members. Okay. If that was your question.
Yeah, and you've continued to grow, so you haven't really had the leaky bucket problem where you lose more members.
We've had a steady growth curves, nice and steady, really. So I guess I'm in a very good position at the moment. That'll probably change over time.
Okay. Any other questions for Joe? Anything specific? Nope. Okay, Joe, stay with us as long as you can because we may get into discussion about other things, but whenever you have to go, you have to go. Sure. And I'm going to move on to the two Lisas, Lisa Connors and Lisa Shropshire, who run 100 Women Who Care Central Oregon, which is based in Bend. And they are not that old, and they have a tremendous population in their group. So, Lisa's, take it away. Have we lost them?
Oh, user error. I muted it.
There they are. Okay. All right.
How many Lisas does it take to unmute? No, I'm just kidding. Hi, Lisa Connors, Lisa Shropshire. So I guess we can just jump right in. How many members do we have in our group, and how long did it take to reach that size? Right now, we have about 275 members. But that fluctuates with every meeting. Every meeting we gain some and lose some, but we started with 90 going into our first meeting, and at that first meeting there were about 60 people that showed up that we didn't even know about.
Right.
So we were expecting our first donation to be around $9,000, and it ended up being $18,000, and we've just gone up since there.
Yep. And some of the successful tactics that we use to grow are social media. Conversely, from what Joe was just saying, we really found that Facebook helped us grow tremendously. And also some press coverage. There's a local radio station that we have gotten a lot of coverage from, and really they've been so generous with their time and invited us to come in and talk about our success. And we've had 2 spin-off groups too. We've got 100 Men Who Care, and we had 100 Teens Who Care group until the leader of that actually started college, so that kind of disbanded. But
we're trying to jumpstart that to life.
right.
But
So the movement here in Bend, Oregon, and Central Oregon has been very successful and very well received.
And I think the other thing that we hear about, it really is not a tactic, but we run a very, very efficient meeting. And I think especially for a lot of our members who have been used to attending, other types of meetings, whether they're PTA meetings or something, they go on and on and on. They are so appreciative of us getting them in and out when we say we are. And right now, we did have our meetings lasting an hour, but now we're in and out in 45 minutes.
Wow.
And they love that.
Yep.
I think that's the reason that some of them come back is, if the charity of their choice didn't win the first time or they didn't quite get it, they know that we value their time. And so that's one of the biggest things that we hear a lot is, wow, you guys are efficient.
And some of the reasons that we talked about that we've seen some attrition is because a lot of our members who have left the group and we've had some turnover, but they've moved out of the area, or they're not getting kind of what they expected out of the group. And in the case of networking, it seems like a lot of the time. So we have a social, like 45-minute social time before our meetings where our members can have a glass of wine or cider or something, a little snack. And then we do our 45-minute meeting, and then people can go out to dinner afterwards on their own. But we've heard some feedback that it's not quite the networking opportunity that some of our folks wanted to have. So they've decided to put their efforts elsewhere. Other people have said that they have left to really focus on one particular charity that they might have learned about at our meeting. So that's pretty cool. That we like that. We want them to go and continue their good work. But what else can you think of?
Well, I think you said about the networking. The other thing, Bend is a growing community, and it attracts a lot of retirees of whatever age. People are moving here, and most of, I would say, a good percentage of our members are new to Bend, and so they're joining to meet new people. And it's hit or miss. Sometimes you can walk into a meeting and there's groups that have known each other, and so you have to be pretty aggressive to break in and start talking. So I think I actually know one of my friends dropped out because she wanted to meet people and she wasn't meeting anybody. So it's kind of a myriad of reasons of how why we lose members, but we've never lost anyone for negative reasons. Mm-hmm. Usually the feedback we get is a great group, but it's not, I don't have time, it's not meeting my needs, we're meeting. So we've never gotten any negative feedback.
And as far as what the right size range for our group is, we would both agree that where we are right now is great. We don't want to really think about getting too much bigger just because it's becoming kind of a monster, Megillah sort of thing. And one of our biggest issues is collecting payments. And I know that that's an ongoing discussion with other groups, but with 275 to 300 women, collecting checks is just kind of a nightmare process. And so our last meeting, the winning charity had a way that our members could go on and make an online donation and pay like a $3 fee, and that worked beautifully, but only about 25 people took advantage of that. But it's still...
But we introduced it late in the game, so...
Mm-hmm. That was really great, and boy, it would be nice if we could do something like that moving forward with every donation, because I think that that's one of our biggest challenges is really collecting the money. And it can be such a difference of, a few $1,000s in our group, that could be outstanding. So Lisa and I are always at the very end wrangling people and trying to get the money from them. So that's been a challenge.
The other challenge, why I think our group's the right size is our donation amounts. We're averaging about $25,000 for each donation. And what we're finding is that kind of eliminates the little guys. We have several nominations for nonprofits that are really grassroots and small, and some of our members feel that they wouldn't be able to handle a donation of that size, which I think is kind of a bummer. So, if we got any bigger, I feel like that would just push the smaller nonprofits down. And we want to be able to, have everybody included and get a fair shake.
I have to say I missed a little piece of your presentation because I'm in a new home and I have internet problems apparently that I didn't know I had. So I missed a little bit about what you're saying. So you think that where you are is right-sized.
I do.
Yes.
Yep.
You like the size of it. Okay.
Yes.
And have you, I mean, when I lost you, you were talking about how you lost members, and I kind of missed that part. I don't want to make everybody else listen to it, but are you losing more than you're gaining?
No. We are.
No, we're pretty average. We may have lost more after this last meeting because Lisa and I decided that members who don't pay are gone. I mean, I'm tired of managing that, and so they have ample notice and warning, and so if they've not paid 2 meetings in a row and we email them and we just never hear back, we're dropping them. Right. So we actually may drop a little bit more after this meeting once all the final numbers are counted. But that's okay because they're not paying us anyway.
And social media wise,
that works for us.
Yes, social media has been great. Did we lose you again, Lori?
Is it that's bringing people in?
Okay, there you go. I'm sorry, you froze up. What was the question?
I said, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you're doing to bring people in with social media? Because there's a lot of different ways people use social media. What have you found that really works?
Facebook.
Facebook, definitely.
Just posting your meetings or what?
All kinds of things.
And I've been doing some social media training because I run another nonprofit. And so, there's tricks of the trade to make sure that your posts are getting out there. And once we started employing that method, we've seen an increase. We'll have posts reach up to 1,500 people organically.
Are you willing to share any of those tricks of the trade for us?
Yeah, I mean, I can help. But it's not rocket science. It's just tagging as many organizations you can in a post and using a really good graphic, and then also boosting your post. For $5, you can boost a post to make sure that it gets out to people, and that is money well spent. We'll boost maybe one post for each meeting, whether it's a meeting reminder or get your checks in or the winner. But real super simple things, but it does make a difference. If you just put text and no picture and no people, tagline or hashtags, people don't read it or it doesn't show up in their news feed. It's just the way that Facebook's running their algorithms now.
Okay, great.
I'm happy to write something up and send your way, but we have found Facebook to be extremely successful for us. We've got a beautiful website, but no one ever goes to it.
Right. Yeah, Facebook definitely. And what we said also, Lori, was our local radio station invites us in to come and talk about what we're doing.
Well, in our news station.
In our news station, occasionally we'll pick something up. We've had a little bit of a struggle with press and getting press and, press releases, getting out to media and actually getting coverage. It's been kind of an interesting sort of situation, and we're trying to figure out what to do with that because we'd like to have more press coverage and attract more members because it's kind of crazy that we've been around now for over 2 years. We're actually going into our 8th meeting and there are still so many women who've never heard of us in this kind of small community here of about 80,000 people.
We do have a question from Sherry. She asks, what does boosting do when you were talking about boosting?
Sure. So when you boost the post, it pushes it out to more people. So you kind of go whether or not actually your post is going to show up in your Facebook follower feed. And so it's really pay to play. They make sure you're posting out and make your followers' Facebook feeds, but also some of your
Lisa, excuse me. Let me stop you for just a second. Someone, I'm so pleased you're with us, but at a 630 number, it looks like you haven't muted your phone, and it's sort of picking up whatever's going on in your sound. So if you'd mute your phone, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
So that, that's boosting. And I do that with my other organization that I run. And like I said, I think it's $5 well spent because it ensures that your post is going to show up in your Facebook followers newsfeed.
Okay. So that's who it goes to though, specifically. When you boost it, it's still only going to your followers.
You can choose your target audience and what?
Your demographic.
Your demographic.
Location.
And so, but for 100 plus women who care, I only boost it to maybe our followers and some of their friends.
And the graphics that you were talking about, are you putting up logos from the organizations that you're funding, or are you putting something else up?
It just depends on what the post is about. Like if I want to post something about a meeting reminder, I'll just go online and grab from Google Images or something, I'll grab a photo that says reminder or next meeting, and it just, it catches people's eye, and then they'll go up and read what you say, your text.
Yeah.
But I try to use a graphic in every single post that we do.
And an unrelated question, has the size of your group affected your ability to get venues? Raw nerve, huh?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
In fact, the first venue that we had was so fabulous, and they were so supportive. And when we had 140 people turn up for that meeting, it was at a hotel here in Bend, and the general manager looked at us and said, we think you're probably going to outgrow this space before too long. And sure enough, we couldn't meet there at the next meeting because we had over 200 members and they couldn't accommodate. So that has been a struggle, but we have the Boys and Girls Club here in Bend has a venue that's large enough that we can have 300, 500 people if we were able to get that many. But we feel that where we are right now is a great number. And frankly, at our meetings, our attendance
50%.
is probably about 50%.
40 to 50%.
We don't have, not everybody shows up. A lot of women opt to send their payments in. Some don't send it at all, but most of them do.
But yeah, Bend is a small community, and there's not a lot of meeting venues in our area that will hold more than 100 people.
Right.
So the competition is fierce, and we have zero budget, and so we really rely on the good graces of people that will accommodate us. But what's worked well for the Boys and Girls Club is that they have a liquor license, and so they have donors that will provide the beer and wine for our meetings, and then they keep the sales from the bar. So they're making anywhere between, I think, about $500 for 45 minutes of, during the social hour. So it works out well for them too.
And it's on a Monday night. We always hold our meetings on Monday nights. And we're also working with getting some food in, like donations of food. And we're kind of on the fence a little bit about how we like to do that. But because of Oregon state laws, we have to provide some kind of food if we're going to be serving alcohol. So that's been an interesting challenge too. And, we want to keep the focus on the meeting, but we also hear our members. We did a survey at the beginning of this year. We put a survey out to all our members and asked what they thought about a number of things. And one of them was, do you like the social hour? Do you want us to keep food and drinks available and allow it kind of a visitation time where you can meet your friends and visit a little bit before the meeting? And it was a resounding yes. And they also like the idea of shortening the meeting time.
Yeah. They wanted to be out by 7 o'clock.
Any other questions?
Do you have you done anything together with the men, or do you coordinate with them in any way?
Well, Lisa happens to share a house with the men's chapter founder, so yes.
Yeah. So I help Steve with the 100 Men social media. I'll do his post for him as well. He struggles more than we do with members. I think he thought that when they started the 100 Men chapter that it would, that have an influx of members coming from our members, significant others. And so they're at about 130 men right now. But, he suffers from the same thing about social media. He really doesn't use social media that much. But their last check was for $11,000 or $12,000. So that's good. It's just a different animal. We've been in different venues.
Cool. Yeah, I will remind you this call is being recorded, so remembering it's a housemate.
May I jump in with a comment?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to emphasize or reinforce your comment about keeping meetings brief. I really think that we do that also. We strive very hard to stay, I should say because I run the meeting, but I try very hard to stay within an hour. And I think the men generally appreciate that. They know they're going to be out of there. We meet at 5:30. It's 6:30. We're out of there, and they can go back to family time or dinners or whatever's happening. So that works for us also. The other thing we do deviates a little bit from I would regard as the standard practice. And I found out the men don't like to advocate for their charities. And so what we've gone to is a process where we pick the 3 charities at the previous meeting for the next meeting. And then we invite the charities to come in for 10 minutes. We keep them to 10 minutes plus 3 or 4 minutes for Q&A. That's 45 minutes from 3 charities, and then we have just 15 minutes for admin time and so on. And I think everybody likes that better. The men are more comfortable. And I don't know if it's a man thing necessarily, but our group is more comfortable that way, and we think, better information. So that's just a couple suggestions from our end.
So I want to piggyback on that. That was one of the issues that we're having. We have a lot of nominations. I have about 60 nominations, and 45 of those are unique. But what we're finding is that each meeting, maybe only 15 to 20 are making it into the bucket, where the members don't show up. But a lot of members show up and they've nominated, but they're too nervous to get up and speak. Mm-hmm. So we asked that question: would you prefer having a representative from the organization speak, it was pretty close, split down the middle, but the majority wanted the member to put skin in the game and get up and speak. And so what we decided to do is the member had to speak, but during the Q&A, if there was a representative from the organization in the audience, they would be able to answer the questions.
Mm-hmm. We do something similar. And we found that, doing it that way where we give them 3 months notice has ended up being an accidental best way that we found to grow the group. Because when people know they're presenting 3 months later, they bring their friends, and those people usually are coming to support them. And then when they see what it's about, they join. So we didn't plan that. And then as a result, also, we've had to keep people from voting the first night, so we wouldn't have an onslaught of people's friends who just came for the one night to vote them over the edge and then never show up again. But it's been our best way to grow. Anyway, I have to apologize again. I keep coming in and out. I've changed locations. Hopefully, I don't mean to go radio silent on you.
I have a question for you, Lori, around that. One of the concerns that we had when we discussed doing it that way was if a member wasn't interested in hearing from either of the 3 charities that were presenting, they just wouldn't show up. We don't tell them. We pick them at the end of the meeting, and then the next day I contact the people who got picked. So it's still a surprise. Community word would get out.
Yes, definitely.
Well, we ask for 1 volunteer in the audience when we pick all the names, so it's transparent, and we, beg them within an inch of their life to keep it quiet. And so far, it hasn't been a problem, and so it's still a surprise. So, all right. Anyway, you know what? I'm going to move on because we've got Dina also waiting. So you guys hang around and wait because there'll probably be more questions. But I want to introduce our last presenter, which is Dina Loy. And Dina is from Canada, and she represents, is it Cape Breton? I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. Cape Breton. So now you know I didn't pronounce it right. So it's Cape Breton Regional Municipality, which I'm assuming is larger than Cape Breton. But take it away, Dina.
Okay, so we have about 20,000 people in our little area. We do the 100 women here. We do the 100 youth who care. So I do those 2 chapters. And then, of course, we have a 100 men that just started up here this past year as well. But just to talk a little bit about what you were just speaking about, just while we're on that topic, we also choose the 3 charities or nonprofits ahead of time. We choose them about 2 weeks before the actual event, and that gives them a couple weeks to prepare for their presentations. We don't tell our members who they are, so they're a complete surprise that night. We actually keep them aside, and they're brought in one at a time, and we find that that's a better way to do it. Our meeting is only the half hour. We have the 1 hour of networking, but it's only a half hour of actual presentations. So I think any longer than that, then we would have people out there on social media saying who it is, and then there would be people crashing in. So we kind of had to do it that way as well. It's, you come to every meeting, you don't know who's going to be presenting. And in all fairness to everyone, there's no pre-solicitation doing it that way. So that's why we chose to do it that way. So 20,000 people we have here. Our membership right now sits at about 120. We started with our very first meeting, which was 9 meetings ago, at 128 people. So 2 years into it, we're still kind of balancing that number. We have gone up as high as 152, but that went down pretty quick. We probably only kept that for 1 meeting. And we had a group of women that joined, and we had about 10 of them that joined that meeting, and they all left because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. They thought it was going to be more like Rotary, where they were hands-on and doing things. So I think it was just lack of knowledge with them coming in. So, that was a bit of a shock to gain them and to lose them. But I think it was just whoever brought them in didn't quite explain at first what it was about. So other than that, the members that we have, most of them we've had from day one. So, we're very happy to have kept that number. Again, we do have a problem with collecting. I've just thrown the towel in and said, I don't care, just give me an e-transfer. Let's just get it done. We were very strict on that as far as checks and dropping off the money, and it not being an e-transfer, but you just kind of get to the point after 2 years that sometimes, it might be easier to do it this way. We also have Canada Helps here, and most nonprofits in Canada are registered through them, so we've been able to hook into them the last 2 times.
Sorry, what's it called?
Canada Helps, and it's direct. There is a charge, but that's on the other end. So we ask our members, if they're going to pay that way, to please, make it $103. And that way it covers that service charge as well. It's a direct payment to the charity, and your receipt comes instantly, and you just print it off. So we don't even have to worry about those envelopes and the receipts going back or anything like that. It's that's all done instantly. So it's just to get our members to feel more comfortable with using that if they're not in attendance.
Tina, is that through credit card? What's the actual form of payment?
Yeah, you can use credit card. I believe that they can use e-transfer, PayPal. There's a number of different ways that they can pay through that. Sure. And it's safe and secure, and we've tried it ourselves before we even used it, but it's very resourceful. So I'm sure in the United States there must be a service like that as well. But it's called Canada Helps. So for any of the chapters in Canada, it certainly has helped us out. What else would you like me to talk about? Maybe some of the ideas that we have for retention. Of course, social media has been 80%, I have to say. When we started our very first meeting, 80% of those people we gathered through social media, through Facebook. And like the city will tell you here, when I started the campaign, I just hit the ground running. For 3 months, basically, we just hit that pavement, and we got it out there to all the sources that we could. And that was great to get the word out as far as, we were looking for venues, we were looking for sponsors. But when it came to membership, it was definitely social media. Our TV has been really good to us here. Our radio stations and our newspaper have been absolutely fabulous. Our newspaper gives us a large ad every single time we're ready to run. They'll run it a week before, and that lets people know where we're meeting, when we're meeting, and just kind of a reminder that goes out. And they give us sponsorship for that. So, we're very grateful for that.
Do you think you get new members that way? Does that bring in people that didn't know anything about you?
Yeah, we do. At least, like I said, we bounce back and forth between, we lose 1 to 5 each time, but we gain that many each time. So, and the majority of them, they say, like we ask when they register, it's on our form, how did you hear about us? So we kind of keep our stats that way. And they'll tell us that it's either through the radio or the newspaper. And they say I've heard it the last couple times, or I've heard it the last couple months. So it's not just them hearing it once, it's the repetitive reminder that's kind of making them go, oh yes, right, I was going to join that. I think that the radio station is key. There's one radio station that will give us some time just prior to the meetings. So I'm going to say like 20 minutes before it starts, like there'll be almost like a remote, and say, come on out, we're here, drop in right now, register, join the women, they're networking. And we tried that for one meeting, and we actually had 18 walk-ins. So the remote seemed to really be interesting, and it really works. So we're going to try to encourage that one again this time and try it. The tricky thing with radio stations is they're very territorial. So if you choose to go with one, then you really can't go with the other here. I don't know about other areas, but we're kind of up against that here. And the ones that we do have are, you know, we're very faithful to them, and they're really good to us. So another really interesting thing that we've noticed this last year is the 100 women have been nominated for several different things. Everything from AFP through the Chamber of Commerce. The last 2 years we've been nominated for Charity of the Year, and that has generated a lot of interest and kind of set us at a standard that, wow, you know, they're out there, they're doing this, they're doing good, they're being recognized by these organizations and up for nominations. So that's been another interesting thing. But of course, that's something, you know, your members and stuff have to nominate you for that and get that ball rolling. We are meeting with the men. I've asked to have a meeting with them. We did make a video when we first started, but we're looking to meet with the men and the youth and do a video together. So we thought that it would be really nice to do one with all three of us in it. And so we are working on trying to get that ball rolling as well, and hopefully get that out there on TV and stuff as well. Just any public displays that are going on, women orientated, if we can set up a display there, that's always good.
Is there anything you tried that you think was just a waste of time or money or effort?
The mall. The mall is about the only thing that we really found was a waste of time. People just walk by you there. They're not there to join up for things or to buy tickets, or, you know, they're there on a mission. So we kind of found that those places were not in our favor. But we try to hit things that are going on in the area. I'm just looking at my notes here to see if I'm missing anything. Rack cards. We have great rack cards out there, and we put posters up as reminders.
What are rack cards?
Almost like smaller than a poster, maybe a quarter of the size of a poster. And you can get it like a little plastic cylinder to hold them in, so you can put them on like in the bank, if the bank will let you put them there, just place them there, or the post office. So those are great. And of course our poster, we use our tartan in all of our advertising. So our posters have the 100 Alliance tartan on it, and we've changed our logo, the three-person symbol, to the collars in the tartan. So that's been kind of interesting. That's something that we just did there. So that's generated a little bit of interest. And milestones, we really, we send out press releases for milestones. We don't send a press release out for every single event, because we know that they're going to lose interest in us if we do that. So we kind of key in on milestones. So we'll key in on, we've just raised $100,000. It's our 1-year anniversary. So those kind of things. And then we know that we're not bombarding them every 3 months with trying to come in and get that advertisement. So we've been very fortunate. They covered our tartan. They all covered the tartan. So I would have to say in the last year, just since January, we probably had maybe 5 things with press coverage. So that's pretty good for a place of 20,000. But we're active on that. We really work on that. We have a core team of about 8 people. So we each have our own areas that we deal with there. And our media person has really taken it on, and she's doing a wonderful job with that. And so it's just building a great core team as well to work on membership.
Lisa asked a question. I'm not sure that you are the right person to answer it, but she asked, is Canada Helps like the United Way here?
No, it's not. No. United Way, we have the United Way here as well. It's nothing like that. Canada Helps is just a vessel for the donation.
Okay, so
it's not an actual nonprofit.
So Leighton suggested One Mission fundraising for people who are looking for something here to use to collect money in some checks. And there's a whole other session like this that's archived for that, so people.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a question for all 3 of you, which is, do any of you allow teams, and have teams helped or hurt membership growth?
No, we don't allow teams. We've discussed it a few times because there are 2 other chapters in Nova Scotia that have teams. So, of course, we've had our members come back and say, well, they do teams. Why don't we do teams? And we felt that if we got into teams, we don't have that many venues here that can accommodate those numbers. So that's one of the reasons why we chose not to do teams. And we just figured that it would be harder to try to track that money with teams.
Okay.
And we started it with individuals, and I think if we had started it as teams, it would have been different, but I don't think it would be fair at this point to change over.
Okay. Tom or Lisa, any of you do teams?
May I jump in? This is Joe.
Oh, Joe, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How'd you come?
We have done nothing with teams, but I didn't jump in for that question. I wanted to talk just briefly about the way we collect money. We use the Dayton Foundation. I don't know if other communities have a foundation similar to the Dayton Foundation, but they collect our money, maintain an account for us free of charge. That the men donate to the Dayton Foundation. They get the tax advantage the day they donate, not necessarily the day the money is distributed to the charity. They have an online service where I can monitor the account and keep track of member donations. What that does is a couple things for us. One is the members who have the financial leeway can make a $400 donation once and then it's no longer a worry or a concern for them. So those that can do that are free to do that. And of course, the Dayton Foundation loves that because they keep the $400 for almost a year before it's distributed. It also facilitates, as was mentioned earlier, the charge account. So a member, if they choose to do so, can charge. We do have the 3% fee. In fact, that is our only administrative overhead cost, is when a member elects to use a credit card, the 3% fee is passed along to us. And to be honest, the way I handle that, because our group's relatively small and the number that uses the credit card is very small, 2 or 3 people, I usually just write a check to balance the books at the end of the year and cover the 3% fee on the 3 or 4 members that choose to do that. If that got larger, I think I would do what I think it was Deanna suggested is or maybe it was Lisa, but roll the charge into the member's fee and say, listen, you can use a credit card. You got to use 103 instead of 100. Anyhow, I just wanted to add those comments. Thank you.
So about groups, we allowed groups at the beginning. I think one of our reasons for that is we wanted to attract a younger demographic and try to get young women involved in philanthropy in their 20s or early 30s. That didn't quite work out the way we had planned, but we have 2 groups.
Actually, we allowed groups and we also allowed partnerships, and that happened through the first meeting, and after that we said no more because we grew to over our goal, which was 100 women. And so we grandfathered those people in, and currently we've got 1 group of 3, 1 group of 4, and a couple partnerships. And that is kind of an administrative kind of issue, just because we're always trying to remember who's in what group, and we get multiple checks. So we've asked them to give 1 check for $100 and figure it out amongst themselves. And
that has worked. That has worked, but no more groups for us.
Right. So you don't think it helped your membership necessarily?
No.
Not at all.
No, I think the people that joined could have easily afforded to pay $100 a piece.
Right.
You know, we try to attract like I said, get younger women involved in philanthropy that might not have $100 a quarter, but maybe they had 50 or 25, and we didn't get that. So,
okay, I second everything that you said. Same experience.
Yeah.
Why don't we just open it up to the group? Anybody have any questions that they want to throw at any of our presenters?
I have a question for Deanna. Deanna, hi, this is Jane from Milwaukee.
Hi.
You mentioned tartans and how you use them in conjunction with your logo. Can you describe that a little bit further?
Yeah, when we first started, of course, we used our Cape Breton tartan. And anyway, that was really great for our area because it was a recognizable tartan. But then when we went to the conference last year in Chicago, I designed the tartan for the International Alliance conference, and we did unveil it there. So since that, we've incorporated that tartan into our logo, and so it is, and anyone is welcome to use that. I can send you the graphics on that, and And also with our symbol, we incorporated those colors there as well. I think Leighton has a tie in the tartan, I believe. Yeah, I don't think he has it on today, but yeah, I think
I
he
should have worn.
that was a little bit of a war that day over who was going to win that tie, I think. But anyway, next week we have a local event here. It's called the Great Tartan Bicycle Ramble, where people are encouraged to wear a tartan and they go on this 5-mile bicycle hike. And so we had one of our members wanted to join this, and she contacted me and said, I want to represent 100 women in that and wear our tartan. What can you make me in the tartan? So it ended up that, I made her the tam in it, and we did the t-shirts. And on the back of the t-shirts, to make a long story short, they say 100 women who care, CVRM, we have a tartan for that. So it's going to be quite interesting because 10 of us ended up that we're doing it now. So anyway, just a little bit more promotion, and hopefully we'll gain some members through that. But that's our tartan. I can send that to anyone who wants that. I can send that in, and maybe if Lori, if you want to send that off to people so that they have the graphics on that and anyone can use it, and I'll send them the meaning of all the colors as well.
Sure.
We have a
Great,
question.
thank you.
Deanna, we have a question for you. Go ahead. Hi, Deanna. We have a question for you about the trade show comment, because that's very intriguing. And how do you pay for that? Who pays for that?
Pay for what is it?
The trade shows, for having a
booth.
booth at a trade show when you go to women's.
Yeah, no, we asked them if they will donate it to us, and oh yeah, and I only had one time where they wouldn't donate it, so then we put out a request looking for someone to sponsor it for us.
Okay.
So I think our investors group sponsored it for us, because yeah, we don't have any money. Like, we haven't had any money. Everything has been sponsored. We have $600 right now because there was a local musician who came into town and he put on a concert, and he donated all of his proceeds to 100 women, 100 youth, and another local youth group here. So that divided gave us $600 each. So we feel like we're rich. We have $600 to work with.
What's the investors group that you speak of? Did you say?
Yeah, that's investors group. It's like an insurance agent. So they sponsored it for us.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Other questions, anybody?
I have a question. It's Vicki, and I'm calling in from Vancouver Island in Canada. I would like to know, there's just some reference in the conversation about different ways that people are doing nomination presentations. So the way we've only had one meeting so far, and the way we did it is we had all the nomination forms come in, and we drew 3, and then the people that nominated the charities had to make their presentation there and then. It doesn't sound like anybody's really doing it that way. Is anybody?
I can answer that. The reason that we chose to have the charity come in and actually do the presentation is we feel that they're the ones that really know in their heart, the full bones of their organization. And to have someone give a presentation that might only be half informed or not fully informed wouldn't be completely fair to the charity. So we thought that it would be best to actually have the charity come in and give the presentation. And we just give them 5 minutes. So in that 5 minutes, they can get quite a bit out.
But then you said people just come along to boost the vote for certain charities? Or?
Yeah, that's why we don't tell our members. Our members don't know till that night. The charities know 2 weeks ahead of time. They're asked to keep it anonymous and not to share that they're coming. So they're kept as a surprise.
I can answer to this too. This is Nettie in Oswego.
Hi, Nettie. Go ahead.
Hi. We do it the old school way. We have a nomination slip that the members sign when they fill out when they walk in the door. We draw 3 of those from the hat, and then the members present on that charity that evening. And we're at 32 members, but that's working really well for our group.
I'll throw out a quick response also. We started that way, and we did it that way for a couple of years. And then because of what Joe said before, we switched to picking them ahead of time because it was really hard to get people comfortable enough to put their name in the hat. And the other thing that happened was when they didn't get picked, they were so upset because they spent the whole night sweating it, and then they didn't even get picked. And it was just really frustrating. So we found we've gone from, 3 names in the hat to 15 or 16 by switching to ahead of time. So that was our reason.
Actually put out, I wanted to add that we put out in our survey to our members, we asked them how they would like us to handle this because we were getting feedback on both sides. And so we have always drawn our nominations the night of the meeting. We have 3 different members of the audience pull a name out, and then that person gets to come up and have the mic. And we've always wanted it to be an organic process that, they can bring notes in, they can sit there and sweat it out and be prepared, but we want to hear about this from their heart too. And when a member gets up and is really passionate about a local charity, they usually can tell all about it from the heart. And that's something that has been very important to our group, and people really like that. But the one thing that we've changed recently that has really helped, I think, make people feel a little bit more at ease about this process is that they can have lifelines. And if there's someone, an executive director or someone from the charity in the audience during our Q&A, they can call on that person to give a more authoritative response to the question and answer period. And so that's working well. It's a little bit of a modification, but we don't allow PowerPoints. We don't allow EDs to get up and give presentations. It's the member. Yeah, unless they're members, but it's the member. And sometimes executive directors do get called up and they get to have the mic for 5 minutes and they give a very polished performance because that's their job, versus someone, who's just somebody in the community who volunteers or knows about an organization that they're passionate about. But either way, we've had numerous times that EDs have gotten up and they haven't been selected to be the winner that night because a member gets up and gives an incredibly compelling story about this amazing charity and the works that they're doing in our community, and our members respond to that with a big donation.
Anybody else? Any other questions? All right, Leighton, I'm going to put you on the spot because you have a very large group. Can you just talk for a couple minutes about the topic?
I'm happy to. It sounded like maybe someone else was trying to weigh in there. Let me defer to whoever that was, and then I will.
Okay. We had another question.
Hi, this is Jonathan Lighty. I'm with the group in Marin, 100 Marin, People Who Care, Marin County. Just a couple observations. It sounds as though people are doing things a lot differently than we ultimately structured them, or not a lot differently. It's the same core, but there are some differences, and I don't want to bog down the call with how we do things per se, but one thing that is markedly different and relates specifically to the topic is, the notion of growth and how to retain and keep members. So I don't know if everybody, and it allows guests to attend these meetings or not, but we have 2 categories of attendees for each of our groups. One are members and the other are giving guests. And so giving guests have an opportunity to make a one-time $100 donation and attend the group, at which point I think it gives them a great opportunity to get exposed to the model and what it is that we're doing at these events, to then in turn, convert them over to membership. So we have about 275 members. We're a people group, so it's men and women and all kinds of people. I guess that's all I'll say about that, but I think it's a great entree on that front. And then the other piece that I would echo the gentleman from Dayton, we have an alliance with the Marin Economic Foundation, which is our fiscal sponsor in essence. So they're the nonprofit, they collect the money. Everybody makes their payments to them. And we actually have it set up on recurrent billing on credit card. So it's 100% credit card, 100% processed through the Marin Economic Foundation, because that way, or Forum, excuse me, Marin Economic Forum, because that way, just give me the ticket and I'll come back later. Because that way, sorry, I was a little distracted there. We don't have we have no sort of monetary collection issues, right? I mean, the only challenge is credit card expiration dates. And so there's, somewhere a handful of those every time we meet. We only meet twice a year. But when we do, we have to re-up those few members, but everybody else is already automatically paid. And so we started doing it the same way with everybody bring a check, but half the people, you couldn't remember what a checkbook was or even where to find one. And then the other, and then the other was, and then it was just for, I'm certain this is true of all the other people on the call, but it's definitely true on my end, is that I have other pursuits, namely ones that pay to keep my lights on and my mortgage paid and all that. And so being an administrator of this organization, vis-a-vis tracking people down, 275 people down to process payments, is not something that I aspire to be. And so the credit card processing has been really, really valuable on that front.
Is there a cost to your members for that, or is there a cost to your organization? Like, why would they do it for free?
Why would who do what for free? I'm sorry.
Whatever the name of the foundation, the Marin Foundation that handles it.
Oh, the Marin Economic Forum. Yeah. Because there are many organizations sound similar to the Dayton Community Foundation, whose mission is to promote nonprofit development, or in the case of the Marin Economic Forum, it's to promote economic vitality within Marin County. And so they view nonprofits as a key piece of that economic vitality. So they're willing to process those payments. I mean, it all goes through PayPal, so there's still a PayPal charge attached to it. And my philosophy on that front is we do not, we've done a couple things. One is we have obtained sponsors to cover the credit card fees on one go round. And then on the other one, we didn't bother. And that's just simply because when you think about a nonprofit, when they host any sort of event, they take donations, and they take them by credit card, and they are subject to those credit card fees. So the idea that people are pledging $100 gross, and so we have to give the nonprofit $100 has, we've just let that go by the wayside, because a nonprofit who got $100 from a credit card any other way would really be getting $97 or whatever it is. So
let me jump in. If there are any more comments on payments, we already had a call on payments. So I'd say if there's more comments on payments or money handling, go listen to that call and then post into the conversational chat that we started on that. The purpose of this call was really to talk about growth. So I don't know, Joseph, if you have other growth related, please go ahead, or otherwise I'll just do a 1 minute here since you asked. I would say the key for us to growth was we did it right at first, which is really we used personal invites only. And it was very, almost a sort of pyramid thing, right? We had a little competition between our founders. I had 12 co-founders, a sort of very informal board, and everyone did personal recruiting. That's the number one thing we did. Social media has been a critical part of our story, I would say, for retention and for growth. And specifically, we also boost Facebook posts, and we do a lot of just hands-on tactical sharing with Twitter and Instagram as well. It's all about good content. Basically, I echo everything that our friends in Oregon said. It's been a critical part of our story. Our average age is, probably our median's in the 40-year-old range. We have a very diverse age population. Our youngest member is 19 and our oldest is 87 or something like that. So we have a wide range, but social media has been a big part of the story. And I think the other thing that's really helped us with growth is that we've been able to have quite a bit of sex appeal to our events. So we meet in cool venues and people want to be there. Now, some of you I've talked to before, and I have mixed feelings about that because we're kind of addicted to that now, and it takes real work to replicate it. So those would be my comments, trying to keep it brief.
Right. And we're probably about out of time. Any other last minute questions?
Could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Amy, Oceana County in Michigan. For the chapter that picks the nominations 2 weeks ahead of time, where the nominations come from? Are they what people turned in at the previous meeting?
Yeah, we collect the nominations right from the very first meeting, and once they're nominated, they stay in that hat. So we have over 60 nonprofits as well that have been nominated, and 2 weeks before, all 60 of those go into that. We have literally a massive fishbowl, and we find someone outside of our organization, be it the mayor or a bank manager, and we have someone do that draw for us.
Okay. Thank you. That's a different approach. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. So I think we're probably at the end of our call. So thank you everyone for joining. A couple of things. This will be archived. It's recorded and it will be archived on the Alliance conference page as well as the Facebook page. Correct, Leighton? So there'll be links to it everywhere. And then I want to give a plug for next year in April, the end of April, we're going to do our second annual conference, international conference. Many of you were there. If you weren't, you missed it. It was really fun. And this is the kind of thing we do. We all share and we find out we have a lot of common goals, but we have a lot of different ways to get there. And you just learn great things that there's no other way to know other than talking to other people who are running chapters. So we hope you'll join us. It's in Chicago. I think it's April 27th to 29th. Leighton, thank you for being the technical master. I'm sorry I faded in and out, but thanks to this group, I now know the hot spots in my new place and where not to sit when I want internet. And I think that's all. Anything else quickly? Okay, signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and hope to see you in April.
Thank you. Bye.